Good morning, and good morning. Oh yeah. For some reason StreamYard kicked me out, so I had to go back all through the system. So I apologize for my fashionly lateness. But anyway, how's your day been so far? How was Monday? How was Tuesday? And how's the morning started? Mine started a little rough, with them doing something. So this is like the second time this has happened recently. But I'm doing good. I am doing good. Happy. Just working a little bit. I got a chance to meet with a gentleman yesterday that was inspiring in terms of the things that I'm doing. He was excited for what I do, even though I don't have, the mega platform that I would love to have, and where there would be some other opportunities to do some things. But he says he feels it's probably a possibility for emerging. So I'm looking forward to that. I am busy, 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 but I believe that busy minds also help us remain, aware, competent, capable, um, you know, cognitively well. Uh, I don't believe in just sitting down all day long. I'm not going to do it. If I do it, you better be worried. I'm probably sick. But I'm hoping you're doing well this morning. And we're going to start off with a new word today. It's called ineffable, ineffable. INEFFABLE, ineffable. Um, it comes about when we have probably witnessed something, heard something, and we're in disbelief, or we're amazed, or we're overjoyed, or we're afraid. It could happen at any time, that all of those situations could have set up or set us up for going through a period where we can't explain what took place. I always used to play a game when I was teaching, or when I even did counseling, initiatives, where I'd start something off in one corner and it would go around to the rest of the room, and what I started with never ended up with what I got at the end. It never did, because people sometimes don't always see and are able to interpret what it is that they see, nor do they do the same thing when they hear things. They just kind of change the order of it, or they leave it out, or they make up something. Okay. So I have this thing this morning. I found this poem. It's by Aya Nasser, and it says, "Speechless. Sometimes we are the ones who become speechless. Not that we don't want to talk, but we don't know what to say, or we've been almost silenced to say anything because we are in disbelief, or we're overjoyed or something." But it says speechless. It says, "I have something to confess. I see myself in a big mess. My heart got lost and I can't find its address. I loved him and his reaction was meaningless. He persuaded me that he was feelingless. So I did nothing but being speechless. I'm not happy nor sad, but guess. I crossed the meaning of sadness. You become my hardest experiences. I got that I loved an object with no senses, but in figure and human with organs and lenses. You can't imagine the strength of weakness when it beat me and destroyed my heart's fitness, and I do nothing but being speechless." Isn't that us? Good morning, Erica. How are you doing, sweet pea? This poem, I really liked it, but today, oh, let me tell you our word. Today, our word is ineffable, ineffable. And an ineffable is when we've seen something, heard something, experienced something that makes us possibly speechless. We can't explain what took place, so we have no words. We have no words. And so this poem by Aya Nasser pretty much says it all. We sometimes can't explain the things that have taken place. Sometimes they may even be a phenomenon as far as we're concerned. we're like, what? What happened? How'd that happen? You know, you can have this same incident, the same accident that everyone claimed to have seen, and no one has the same interpretation as to what happened. Or they become, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. So, ineffable says, and I'm going to ask you this morning, do you occasionally get stuck? Are you occasionally stuck and not being able to know what to say, when to say it, or who to say it to? I'm going to raise my hand. I am definitely occasionally that person. Now, I can talk, but occasionally I get to the point where I don't even know how to explain that. That was different. That was weird. That shocked me, or that angered me, or that frustrated me, or that confused me, or that hurt me, whatever it is. Sometimes we get to the point where we can't explain it. So ineffable says it's incapable of being expressed in words. We cannot do it. It says it's indescribable. It says it may something that deals with our joy, unspeakable. We can't, I've heard that people sometimes get so excited, especially on the religious realm or another, and they say it was just unspeakable joy. I can't talk on it, but I know I have it. Good morning, Adelia. How are you doing, my sweet friend? Good morning. Our word is ineffable, ineffable. And it just means capable of being expressed in words, or incapable, excuse me, incapable, not capable, incapable. We can't even do it. And I mean, I'm quite sure many of us have experienced that over time. Something has hit us, and it's hit us in such a way that we cannot explain anything. We don't know what happened. We can't explain it, and that's it. So it also talks about, and it says, ineffable, it says, you could also be an ineffable disgust, meaning that it's just so horrific, so hateful, so hurtful. You can't explain that either. So it could be joy, it could be pain, it could be hurt, all relative, all relative. My allergies are just acting up well this week. I'm going to get a tissue in a second. So it says, I note this because I found it on another page that was speaking to what happens with ineffable. It says, if something is so powerful or emotional that you can't even describe it, it's ineffable. You can't say nothing about it. It happened. And that's all you can say. It happened. It was weird. Don't know how it happened, but it took place. It took place. So when we look at ineffable, we're looking at it being incredible, unspeakable, incommunicable. It talks about inexpressible, unalterable, and incommunicatable. All of those words pretty much say the same thing. I can't say a thing. I'm done. I don't know how to speak to it because it's hurtful or it's too exciting. I saw my little friend of mine, my trainer, my fitness trainer that had been my trainer for years, and I saw where her son asked his young girlfriend to marry him, and she just cried, and she had no words. She had no words. She just put her head down and covered her face, and so that's one of those moments. What moment have you had in your life that you can feel and think that you remember being totally surprised, hurt, excited, dumbfounded, something? I've got a few of them. I have a few. When I think one of my greatest ones was when I had my daughter, because she just looked like this just cutest little, sweet baby doll. She looked like the baby doll to me. So that was probably one of them. I had no words. I just cried. I said, wow. When my father and mother transitioned, yes, then that's the second one. Yes. Yes. Those are definitely, I had no words. And my mother got to live a long life. My father didn't. My father was sick by the time I think I might have been 14, and he passed away just when I was going to turn 17. So I just wonder what he would have thought about me now. what I've been able to do, that would have been wonderful that I've known that, because he was always the sweetest. He was just always the most sweetest and most gentle man I ever known as a dad, and he had a fondness for me. We were bonded. We were bonded. My mother almost lived to 95, as I told you before. So she was just 3 weeks shy of 95. My grandmother 96. So therefore, I knew them, but I wished I had known my dad more. But yeah, that was one of those moments. And says when I got engaged and with the birth of my children. Okay, yeah, engagements are really probably one of those moments. Being like that, being like something that's memorable. Um, we move on and we break the word down. My I is inexpressible. That's what my I is for, inexpressible. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? I need to put on my glasses because for some reason this morning my eyes are bugging and my computer screen. Oops, that's dirty. My computer screen looks different today. I guess because they kicked me out. Good morning, Harris C. Daniels. How are you? Good to have you in this with us. Anyway, let me just say this to you that when you're looking back at some of the things that have happened to you, consider that when you're going forward. Consider it, because I believe that every opportunity that we are left speechless also leaves us a time to ponder. Why couldn't we? Why, you go back and say, well, why couldn't I come up with anything to say? And what happened to get it to the point where you could say it? And some people never speak on where they were stilled. Never. Never. They won't. They just won't do it. They can't ever get there, But anyway, so my word is impressionable, inexpressible, beyond the power to describe. That's what I have for my I. What would you have if you were looking at this? What would you put down? And of course, inexpressible means that it's undescribable, unutterable, unexplainable, undefinable, unspeakable. Those are all those uns make it where it could not be accomplished at the time that it was set forth. And sometimes that's what happens to us. We experience things based on where we're able to accept them at the time. If we can't accept them, then we may skip over them. And some of us never go back to where the hurt was, where the anger was, where the frustration was. And we seek, don't get me wrong, we seek the joy if there was joy. But if it leaves and we can never get back to it, that becomes just that memory, but it doesn't begin to address if we can talk about it. Sometimes we can't. We can't because it's too painful. If we were to move on in the word ineffable, my N is nervous. I believe that we become nervous when we cannot speak about what someone may be questioning us about. We just become silenced. We don't know how to do anything with it. We leave it alone. We leave it alone. So nervousness talks about causing someone to feel worried and afraid, making someone nervous. And, one of the things that I don't do, even as a counselor, I never did. I try to wait till people feel comfortable to talk. I don't make them talk. And sometimes you can start off with one word answers. That'll work. That will work. And then I say, well, if I'm wrong, then let me know, so that way you can give people time. But it says nervousness it says it's highly considered a strong reaction. It says it causes fear, that people, when they're nervous, they're fearful. They may be agitated. They may be a little edgy, sometimes fussy, sometimes apprehensive, and overly concerned. Let's see. Nauseous. Yes, some of us do get nauseous when we're trying to look at addressing something. We don't even know that we're nauseated. We just say, I'll be back. I know I've done that. I'll be back. I may not come back, but I might tell you that that's my exit. By just saying, okay, I'll be back in a minute. It is what it is. When we move on in the word, did anybody else know? When we move on in the word, my E, unineffable, is extraordinary. When we have had an extraordinary experience, okay, where we cannot speak, we cannot address anything, that's notable, okay? It says extraordinary means beyond what is usual, meaning we've seen something that we didn't expect to see. We can't explain it. We're like concerned about it. And then we question ourselves, did we really see it? We did. We did. It wasn't imagined. We saw something, but it's beyond our imagination that we saw it in the first place. It says beyond what is usual, ordinary, regular, or established. So, I just remember as a child, this is crazy. I remember as a child that, and I swear my sister and I both saw it. She's gone on to glory now, but I swear she and I both saw this woman. Our bedroom was off the kitchen, and she and I we shared a bed, and my mother would make sure that the lights were turned off because she tried to get us used to understanding that lights don't stay on all the time. That energy costs money, so forth and so on. So she had turned off the lights, and even though our door was cracked, we swore, both she and I swore, that we saw the door open and there was a figure of a woman, was not our mother. And she came and she kept coming towards the bed. We were screaming. We were screaming, and it disappeared. It jumped on the dresser, and it disappeared. So my mother came in there smiling and ready to beat us with her belt, but that's the way they handled it back then. But I cried, so she didn't bother us. But she said, if you kids don't go to sleep, well, you get scared. Sometimes as children, we see things, and even as adults, we probably seen some stuff and we can't explain it. We don't know what to do with it, but we don't. And sometimes we're not going to tell anybody about it. We will not. No one will not know, that we saw something crazy. But when we've seen things that are extraordinary, it says it's beyond what is usual, ordinary, regular, established. Therefore, it becomes a phenomenal thing, an incredible thing, an amazing thing. And then it makes us where we're curious, and it might have been something that we felt was bizarre or exceptional or odd or peculiar, surprising or strange. When we've seen something, we know it and we can't explain it. We cannot. And there's no other way you can deal with it except, wow, I don't even believe I did that. I can't tell anybody that I saw that. We move on in our word of ineffable. My F is for fantastic, because sometimes we've seen extraordinary things or an extraordinary thing has happened to us, and there's what I call some excitement in it. It wasn't a bad thing. It was just a weird thing, but it happened. And so we talk about extraordinarily good, and sometimes it can be attractive, where it has a tremendous effect on us. We feel it's been something that's remarkable. Say you got something you never expected, and it came, delivered by someone or some carrier, something that was overwhelming. It might have put you to tears. It might have made you just, grab your chest or something, but it placed you in a position of, wow, that was really amazing. You don't have to do it again, but it really took something from me. So when we have things that are fantastic, we talk about them being impressive, that they're striking. We look at sometimes the fact that they're huge. We've had some huge things happen to us in our lives, all of us. I don't care who we are. Even if we don't want to recall them, good or bad, they happened. I believe anybody that probably has gotten married and had a big marriage knows that it was huge. Even if it wasn't in terms of numbers, it was a huge step to make, to commit like that to someone. So my word is fantastic for my first F. Did anybody have anything for an F, the first F. Actually, one F I do because I have two Fs. My second F is that, and this is me. I know I've one that I'm a scaredy cat, and so my second F is for frightened. Ineffable also says that there are periods of time when we are frightened, and we cannot explain the fact that we're frightened. We can't explain to something what happened. Well, so Sandy, what happened? I don't know. I just know I'm frightened. Okay. I'm afraid or I'm anxious. It says with frightened, you're scared. You might be startled. How many of you have ever been startled? Don't jump, don't run up on me. I'm not interested in that. I'm not big on surprises. So I'm telling you. It says frightened is also when you could be alarmed, shocked, agitated again. There's that agitated again. Panicked. Have you ever been panicked? Fearful is good. Fearful. Sometimes we are just fearful, when we're frightened. We could be terrorized. To be honest with you, I I've never been in war or in a war zone, but I imagine that those people are frightened all the time, you know, and seeing things that they will take with them when they leave the world, just as that remain as visuals in their head. And fearful is so right on because it's true. We remember, our brains will remember what we feared. We'll get over them and learn to live with them, but some people, it always becomes a repeat in their brain of a performance that was wrong, or it might have been a performance that was good. But I can imagine that it being in war would be constant reminders of my fear and seeing things that I can't explain that are ineffable, Um, Frightened also talks about it being terrorized, that someone could be terrorized, intimidated, or be absolutely in a freeze, where they just, you ask them what happened, they can't say a thing. They have basically moved to a freezed state of being, not explaining anything, can't get there, don't know how to do it. When I move on in my word of ineffable, my A is for astonished. I believe that many of us have been astonished at the things that we've experienced, even if they aren't repeats in terms of coming back to us as reminders of something that made us fearful or happy. It just remains a part of the landscape that we've lived through, where we've gone through. So for astonished, I said greatly surprised or impressed or amazed, because I believe in ineffable, you can be on the happy side or you can be on the sad side of what you have experienced. Good morning, Maurice. How are you, Mo? Good to see you in the space. Today, our word is ineffable, which means unexplainable, can't describe it, no words, just too much for us. And we've already gone down our list. And so we talked about it being, for me, I said it was inexpressible. There's a period of nervousness to it, that there was an extraordinary experience. It may have been fantastic for some people, but it frightened others. And astonished is where I'm at now, which talks about it greatly surprised or impressed or amazed. And let's face it, many of us have been surprised by many things, and it says that in that surprise, we also have been astounded, flabbergasted, and overstimulated, just like, oh my God, I'll never get over that. Eventually we do with time, but it is certainly an occurrence. When we move on in our word of ineffable, my B in able on the end says bizarre. Sometimes we've seen some bizarre happenings. We don't know how to explain the fact that we saw something that was over the top. It's like, wow, that's incredible. So bizarre talks about it being very strange or unusual, especially so as to cause interest or amusement. Sometimes I can get disinterested about things that frighten me, but interested in things that amuse me, just a difference, a total difference. But we know that that's life. That's how we deal with our lives. So it talks about it being strange. When something is bizarre, it's strange, it's odd, it's peculiar. It could be that it's funny, but sometimes not. And it's usually unexpected when things are bizarre, unorthodox, unexpected, and abnormal. All those speak to what bizarre does. Does anybody have anything for their B? If they were going to write a B down, what would you use? If I move on in my word of ineffable, my L is for lack. Lack meaning an absence or inadequate amount of something needed, desirable, or customary. Meaning that I lack the ability to speak on something if I'm frightened. I may lack the ability to even say thank you to you after you've done something that was grand. Give me flowers, do something special. I may not even know what to say. I may show something in emotion with maybe crying or smiling, because that's what people do. Sometimes their physical, view may change, but verbally you never hear anything. You may hear them crying or wailing or something of that nature, and they may show their feeling, but not speak their feeling, not speak it. So that I use lack, meaning an absence or an inadequate amount of something needed, desired, or customary. So the lack is the need, but not getting, and the want, the insufficiency. It says the duality or the dearth. All of those speak to lack. Sometimes we lack the ability to even speak on anything. We can't do it. I think it's also the brain's way of slowing down to try to interpret what took place, what happened. We don't always know. We may assume that there's knowledge, but we may not know. We may not we can't explain it. But yet and still it happened. And we're like, oh my goodness, how do I explain that to somebody? And sometimes you run away from the explanation, because you're not comfortable with what occurred. So you run away from having to explain it to anybody. So I don't know, can't explain it. My E, which is my final letter in my word today of ineffable, says exceptional. Generally speaking, if we've seen something, experienced something that is beyond, we'll say even common sense, is beyond explanation, is beyond imagination, all we can do is say, wow, that was an exceptional occurrence. So it says forming an exceptional, rare instance, usual, unusual, and extraordinary. Hasn't that been us, where we've seen something, experienced something, heard something, and we just can't even get it to the point where it can be something that we can discuss? We don't discuss it. So it says that when something is exceptional, it's unnatural. It may be singular, meaning it only had to occur one time for us to say, whoops, done with that. It's uncommon, it's strange, it's aberrant, and anomalous. All of those words, pretty much, which are synonyms, all speak to the fact that when something is exceptional, it's extraordinary. It's hard to explain. We cannot even get there without acknowledging the fact that took place. Okay. Fearful. Yeah, I was trying to go back to see, did anybody have anything? Sometimes your comments are delayed. I need to explain that again. Because I'm really working on 4 platforms at once. Streamline allows you to do that. Even though you all may come in on Facebook, they can also watch this on the several other channels that I'm signed up for. And people end up saying, well, you didn't respond to me. Well, I know I couldn't because I don't see it. But I will after we're done. Asking that you all keep Wendy and I lifted in prayer. Please love on your family members. We will, babe. Absolutely, Mo. We will. We don't know what's happening, but I'm gonna reach out to you after this is over to make sure that I not only reach out, but I try to let you know that I care about you all, and my look, my little girl, your daughter too. But anyway, that's our word for today. Hoping that you will use this word, ineffable. It's a great word. It kind of sums up the fact to me. Can't speak on it. I don't know what to say. It's my unspeakable joy or my unspeakable fear, but I'm not going to address it. I have to wait till I get far enough away from it, or it will never be discussed. Many of us have had that. We never ever discuss a thing. Okay. Yeah, and when we're in a position where we can't discuss things, we either let people know that, or um, we just say we're going to table it. I got to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it to when I can, or maybe I will never get around to it. That is ineffable. But I want you to have a wonderful couple of days until I see you again. I'll be back on Friday with another Are You Stuck? This doesn't cost anybody anything. If you'd love to just do something for Dr. Winnie, just go ahead and hit that share button and let it share through your members and friendships and family. I meant to say family members and friends. And maybe I'll have more people watching and understanding that this is just my passion, my way of going forward. Thank you, Ardelia. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Maurice. I know there's some other people that I'm thanking everybody. If I see you, don't see you. I thank you. I love you. And I appreciate you. And I will be back on Friday, 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Okay? Take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. All right. Have a great day. And think about ineffable and what it means to you. You don't have to explain everything to everybody. Thanks. Bye bye.